as well. It could be as quick. So the example I'm giving in using shorts is less than a year, 140 times. But these are very, very unique kind of situations.
Any more questions? Yes, sir. In the middle, please. Oh, you have a question. Yes.
My name is Vincent. First, I want to commend the organizers of this summit and to equally, I think, ask this question. You have a very good intention and you have the passion to start up a business, but the environment is not conducive. Let's take, for example, like in my country, somehow we are having the problem of power. So in situations like that, where the environment is not conducive, you have the intention, you have the passion, you have the belief, but the environment is not conducive. What do you do?
Rahul, will you like to field it because you have worked across Google, and then probably Dheeraj can pitch in, or probably Dheeraj can lead first in terms of his global exposure.
I need to understand the question.
Okay, so his question is that even though there is a determination, there are ideas, but the environment in his country is not so conducive of starting up a business. So what do you do? So generally, if I have to start answering this question, probably you guys can lead it, is in terms of its entire ecosystem needs to be developed. Today in India, there's a huge amount of ecosystem. Initially, it gets started by the business community itself, which themselves became angel investors, HNIs, people like them, PEs funding, VC funding. So the entire effort of pulling the startup ecosystem started with the industrialists. The second perspective, how it came was where the center and the state governments, the union government of India, they started building up ecosystems in India. I agree with you that if the country ecosystem is not so conducive, how do you really scale up? But eventually you need to have some sort of I would say, locally silos wherein you can just nurture and incubate some of these initiatives as a startup. I think if I have to probably lead it from here.
So I just like to make one point. So in the last, when the Prime Minister, he addressed at the Startup India, Stand Up India thing. So one point that he made was the ecosystem has been built by entrepreneurs. So it's not the other way around. And even globally, if you see, when companies like Apple and Microsoft, when they scaled, so then the VC and the angel and all those cultures sort of boosted out. So so the idea is that that the burden is that the monkey is on your back, entrepreneurs. That's the whole idea. And then the government and everybody starts following the flow. So that's one point I want to make.
No, I totally agree. I think that ecosystem is the most essential thing, because ecosystem is the one who acknowledges. Ecosystem is actually also the customers. It's not only the investor and entrepreneur and the regulator. And then when there's a customer is there when there's a market. So if there's a market and there are customers and you have a product which can value add and customer can earn more value from that product than you can earn from them, I think the investor will be there. I mean, there are markets obviously where, conventional banking is even not there. So it's very, very hard to, assume that there will be a sophisticated, organized sort of funding platform available. So I think depending on which market you're doing, but I go back to these guys saying, the ecosystem is the core, and if that's in place, then you have, you have success possibility.
Probably we will take another question, and then Rana, Rahul, and Sandeep would answer out. Yes, over at the back. Over at the back. Sorry, ma'am. We are going to come, sir, to you as well, later on after that question. Good to see a student finally asking a question.
Hi, I'm not a student. I'm running a app.
Pretty young, yeah? Compliments.
Thank you very much.
No,
My question to Rahul sir. You were saying don't hire a person who आपसे timing push है basically office की. So what should I tell them that I am looking out for a solution and just look at me? What should I tell them? कैसे वैसे लोगों को कन्विंस करें कि मैं ये सोल्यूशन देख रहा हूँ, come with me, let's solve this problem. You don't work for the money, you work for this particular solution. I mean, it's very difficult. I faced this problem when I was hiring some people from a company.
So I could answer, understand understand partly the question. You are on the entrepreneur side or you are on the side that you want to join the company?
I'm on entrepreneur side. I was hiring some people and I said, let's work, I'm solving this problem and we are running a company. So they asked like how much time, 9 to 6 ka job and money and all. So people, I mean, normally they are looking for. That's a normal culture in
So
India.
I think so it's a more figurative expression that if in the first interaction, the first question the person has is that what is the timings of the office or what do you do, right? Versus asking you for what is the vision of a company, what is the product that you're building, who is your customer, why do you think that you're solving this problem well as compared to the others. So I think it's about the sequencing of the question and then whether the person is excited about those things to join a company first before asking anything, which again, it's not a, I think, incorrect answer, incorrect question to ask that what are the timings for a company or does it work 6 days, 7 days. We are a 6-day company, by the way, which I think I'm doing after 15 years. I used to work pretty much 5 days in most MNCs. But those are questions which come very late in the interview, and that is when the guy has made up the mind that I really like the vision, team, the founder, and I want to work for this company, but I may have personal obligations. And sometimes it's fair, right? People who are married with kids and sometimes even youngsters having certain hobbies or education that they're pursuing, they may have time commitments that they may not be able to sort of work 365 days or whatever a startup needs. But it's a question of timing. When do you ask that question, and is that the most important question for you to join a startup? I think that matters more. So when you're sitting on the founder side, you are actually judging whether the guy is more passionate to join the team, join the company, be part of that vision, and then do whatever maximum he can do towards that contribution, which might be 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, depending on different people.
But being a very small company, it's really, it is really difficult to convince them that work with us. So what should I say actually?
So if I have to answer my friend, I also face these challenges while hiring as well. In fact, I tell people, if people ask me, okay, what's your work timing, I tell them 16 hours a day, for which 8 to 9 hours is physically in office, and after that, you don't need to be in office. But in a startup, you need to work 16 hours a day. So where does the 7-8 hours go? The 7-8 hours goes only from a distinction if you start believing that I own this space where I'm working. When you start having that ownership in an ecosystem, which is built by culture, what Rahul really emphasized, you eventually think about, okay, how would I do? Even while you are having your dinner, even while you are walking on the road going back to your home, you are constantly into how can I really create value for the company I'm working in. Now, that is the 16 hours which means. But how do you eventually convince? I would say it all depends on how do you sell your own dream to them. For that, you need to be really sure of your own dream first before you start convincing and selling. So I think that's my response. We would move on to the next question, sir, over here in the between. Yes, 4th row, center. And then we would go back to ma'am.
Hello, I am Kailash Tuli, a professor of psychology from Delhi University and IILM. I just want to contribute something to Professor Biswal, being a academician also. So there are two very important things from psychological perspective, especially for startups. One is openness to change. It's a very, very fundamental thing in the human beings, which brings us to new and very brave ideas. And second is achievement motivation, which is of course a very classical term, but it is also very important in makeup of the human mind. And finally, I would say that the philosophy of life is also very important, because there is an issue, and I really appreciate his point of view, to forewarn some aspirants that there can be failure in the life. So one must have a backup philosophy of mind, so that even if there is a failure, so suicide is not the way. So there are many other options open in the life.
Even I acknowledge Professor Biswas. I think what he spoke was really the need of the hour.
Yes.
We need more people to join the fraternity of startups, even as entrepreneurs or as I would say employees, because this entire ecosystem would only get a boost when we have a more collaborative effort.
Sure.
We pass on,
Thank you.
sir, if you can, to the lady up front, yes.
Sir, like you have enough passion, you quit your job, but you don't get any co-founder with you. So should you go alone, or should you search for the
I don't think
co-founders?
there's any harm in doing Ekla Chalo, but Sandeep probably, Sandeep and Nitin haven't answered, so probably we would go with first.
So look, I think if you're very strong belief in your idea, then you should start on your own. You'll probably find like-minded people on the way. But as somebody in the previous panel spoke about, Amrish, I think that having a co-founder is like getting married to somebody, right? So if you find the bad co-founder, the journey will never start. And if you get a good co-founder, it'll become a dream. I think what has really helped, and that's coming from a personal experience, that having a co-founder, because it is lonely at the top, right? Everybody knows it's pretty lonely at the top. Having a co-founder helps you go through a lot of stressful times. Because there are certain things which only you can discuss with your co-founder. You can't even discuss with your investors. You can't even discuss with your employees. So, when the time comes when you have to really take tough decisions, having somebody who's like-minded, who is, who shares the same belief and passion, it definitely helps. So if you get somebody good, don't get somebody for the sake of getting somebody. If you find somebody who's carrying the same passion and the vision, and I think it's also very important, which I've realized, is having your co-founder at the same, at least your environmental or your other factors should be very similar, because then your vision will not. Because if you found a co-founder who is, say, for instance, very successful entrepreneur who's built companies and sold off companies, and you're just starting out, then your success metrics are very different. For you, $1 million exit or a $1 million raise is good enough. For him, maybe it's a small amount. So your visions will never match.
Nitin.
I would answer it in a different way. As in, first of all, you will have to understand that why do you need a co-founder? I mean, if your essential building blocks are, so I'm not a techie. I'm a hardcore sales guy. So my product is entirely on technology. So for me, it is very essential to have a person who understands technology at heart and can, build my company together with me. So you'll have to figure it out with why do you need a co-founder? I mean, if it is a core competency that you have to get an in-house, of course you would be looking for a person who can, manage it well, take the product, because other people who are building on you or backing you will also look at the fundamentals and the building blocks of the company. So that's one part, whether you have to, you don't need a co-founder for the heck of it. You need a co-founder in order to take this product or take this company to heights. And if you really need it, then you, of course, should look at and find someone.
It really matters based on the business model and the level of the, I would say, where you are, what do you intend to do. And we would have the last question. Any hands? Yes. Till the time it goes off. For me, it was never a choice, because I always tell my wife, okay, my company is my third baby. So she used to tell me, baby to theek hai, iske aage nahi. Yes. Sir.
Yeah, hi sir. My name is Dharmendra Singh. My question is that how to approach an investor if you have a good ideas but you don't have a money. So because generally investor need a project report and a CA certified report. If you don't have that, if you only have an idea, so how can you approach the investors, and what investors look into that ideas?
So I would only two people would answer because they haven't spoken. Rahul and Rana. Rana first and then Rahul. Rana.
I am personally a believer that you should have a working product, out there, and then only you should approach investors. If you do not have just basis idea, then at least some kind of a prototype should be there. You're actually asking, for money, and it's a very big responsibility to take that money, and then you have to, give returns also. So, one is somebody, said that there has to be skin in the game. So, if you're out there and you left your job and you have built something on your own like a magician without having any money in pocket, then it brings more confidence to the investor. So when you're going to ask for money, which is not a debt, which is kind of a equity money, you are actually telling somebody to give you money on a very, very high risk. That person will give you money only if he feels that you are a magician and you can give him 100x return. And to make it believe, I do not think some report or some idea at only idea level. So what we say in startups, and otherwise also, is that $1 is an idea. So I'll pay only $1 for an idea, and all the zeros behind it is execution. So unless and until you execute, the idea is nothing. I mean, all the companies you see, big companies which have been funded, they are not, first-time doer of that idea. So whether that is Uber, whether that is Flipkart, whether that is Paytm, you take any company, and there have been other companies doing it earlier than them, but they became bigger and bigger just because they executed it. So if you're saying that, okay, you are going to ask for money without doing any execution, I don't think that's the right ask from your side. If some investor is investing, he would invest only if that entrepreneur has done a phenomenally well execution prior to this new startup they're doing.
Thank you, Rana. I would take one last question, preferably from students, because Professor Biswas hasn't spoken as a. Can you pass the mic?
An idea, then going to an incubator is the next step. You should not look for an investor right away who will put money on you so that you take the idea to product, to prototype, to business. I think you need to first look for an incubator somewhere where you take the idea to product, and there are many such things. So many such.
Any questions from students? Okay, we go one over here. Dr. Jatinder, I need 2 minutes more. You can beat me after that. Paritosh is waiting, I know, but
Good afternoon.
bear with me.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Zaid. I'm pursuing MBA, and apart from MBA, I am a founder director of an NGO. It's a social entrepreneurship, right? So my question to all of you is that you must all be engaged in CSRs, right? So what is the, how do you consider, what is the interest of your CSR? How do you consider it? How do you get into the projects from different NGOs? What is the criteria not? Let me come to the direct question that I have a project for my NGO, and how can I approach you? What is the criteria exactly?
Okay, so this question could be taken offline because this is not pertaining to I would say the theme per se, so I would probably pass on. You may connect with me or somebody else.
I have a
please.
question too. I'm also an MBA student, and one of my current nightmares with startups especially was the fact that I did have some ideas back in the past, and I think I thought about them for a little longer than I should have. And shortly before I started, took the first step, some other person did it. I've never forgotten about that. How do you know when to stop thinking and just start doing something? How do you know your plan is enough? How do you know when to actually start? Because from what I've learned today, you need to start doing whatever it is that's in your head. And I also want to ask you, as entrepreneurs, when you started, before you took up your first steps in whatever business it is you're engaged in, what was your nightmare? And right now, when you go to bed at night as an entrepreneur, as somebody who works on a lot of startups, what is your nightmare? What don't you want to see in the morning?
Nightmare is to see more nightmares. But Sandeep, why don't you answer the first part?
So look, I think you'll probably get a lot of ideas if you are, looking at entrepreneurship. You'll get a lot of ideas. But I think if you're passionate about something, I think it goes back to passion again, right? You should just start. Once you start, you'll find means, and you'll start meeting the like-minded people. So I think zeroing down on idea is putting yourself in a position that will I be passionate about this idea 10 years down the line as well? Because ideas will come and go. But will I be passionate to do this 10 years down the line as well? If the answer is yes, then start it. Then you should not wait.
Sure, thank you. This would be enough. We would be happy to field any questions offline when the next session ends. Thank all of you. I would say the questions are pretty intriguing, very interesting. And I also hope that I, as a moderator and the panel speakers, peers to me, did I would say, decent job. If you have any more questions, we are always outside. You may touch base with us. So nice of you, and thanks to Dr. Jatinder as well for inviting us over here and giving us such a great audience in front of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Anshul, for moderating this session in a very lucid manner. Thank you very much. In fact, you're not Arnab Goswami, right? I can tell you, because normally whenever we talk about Arnab Goswami, people say when he will, close his mouth, because he talks so much. So the point of concern is, thank you very much. In fact, all the panelists for sparing your valuable time and being with such august and patient, delegates also. I'm sure that many of them have understood a lot of nuances about how to, start up to scale up. So this is in fact indeed one of the, I can say one of the most wonderful sessions of this summit. Now, to take it forward, we have the last session wherein we have Mr. Rahul Stone and Paritosh who will be sharing their success stories with us. This is storytelling for startups. So I invite both the panelists to kindly come on the dais, and I also request my colleagues Snigdha to kindly hand over small mementos to our fellow panelists, please.